To start today's show by saying thank you to all the fans. We started off 2026 with a bang. Yesterday was one of our most viewed shows in the history of the show since we started in 2022, and for good reason. We have some things going on in the world right now, especially when it comes to Cleveland sports. So we want to say thank you to everyone who tunes in. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, follow us on social media. You can see our handles for X, Instagram, and TikTok right there on your screen, and we will continue to give you guys some behind-the-scenes content, some extra stuff on those when you can't catch us live Monday through Friday, every day right here on YouTube. All right, guys, let's talk some head coaching candidates for the Cleveland Browns now that Kevin Stefanski is out. Dustin, Tyvis weren't here yesterday, and we have some odds now from various sports books on who is the favorite to be the next head coach of the Browns. And before I run down 3 different lists from 3 different sports books, there is no clear-cut favorite, and that is where I want to start. We'll start with DraftKings, though, and this is the DraftKings odds to be the next head coach for the Cleveland Browns. Chris Shula, the favorite at plus 500. Cliff Kingsbury plus 600. Joe Brady at plus 650. Robert Saleh, Jim Schwartz, and Brian Flores at 7-1. Todd Monken at plus 800. And Jesse Minter comes in next at plus 850.
Why wouldn't it just be plus 700 for those guys?
It didn't fit on the screen. Next one. This is according to Bet Online.
I wonder where they're getting these,
how did we get these?
What do you call it? What was the first one again?
DraftKings?
DraftKings had, who was the favorite?
It was Shula.
Shula.
And now he's not even on this next list.
Which is where I'm getting to with all this. But let's just read all the odds so everyone knows the playing fields we're working with.
Robert Saleh, the favorite here.
Bet Online had Saleh at the favorite plus 500. Mike McCarthy at plus 700. Joe Brady at plus 800. Jim Schwartz and Clint Kubiak at 9-1. Mike LaFleur 10-1. Tommy Rees, Jeff Hafley, and Cliff Kingsbury at 12-1. And last but not least, Steve, let's see from Kyle Shea
Who is
Sports.
Mike LaFleur?
Matt LaFleur's brother, who's the OC of the Rams right now.
Oh, really?
New candidate for bowl. And lastly, from Kalshi Sports, they had Mike McCarthy and Cliff Kingsbury, the favorites, at plus 376. Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator for the Chargers, at plus 733. Mike Shula, Kubiak, Brady, plus 809. You got Saleh. And last but not least, you got Deion Sanders at basically 11-1. So there's no consensus is what I wanted to show with this. Absolutely no consensus whatsoever. So, Tyvis, we'll start with you and Dustin.
They got Mike McDaniel on the list. He's not fired.
Right.
In fact, he's getting more power.
Yeah, we were talking about Mike McDaniel yesterday, but I think they announced yesterday he's not getting fired.
Just copied the odds from the Kalshi Sports. But
all right.
First off, those odds don't mean anything.
Nothing.
Those odds are put out there so people can bet on it.
Right.
And as people bet, the odds change.
Right.
And you can there are limits on the bets. You can't put like $1 million on it. Put like
Tyvis with the new facial hair, go ahead.
Thank you. You look like you like 10 years older with the mustache like that.
Very much older.
10 years older?
Yes, mature. Not in a negative way. It just all of a sudden he demands respect.
I said something earlier but it was the craziest pause-worthy thing I've ever said.
You better not never say that again.
No more,
like you're just gonna get a lot of sirs today.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing? Hey, listen,
yes, sir.
When you go into the bank, they get you in there first.
Mr. Powell?
Yeah,
Mr. Powell today.
Or you might put an asterisk between your name, Powell. Mr. Powell.
You know what I'm saying? Don't you feel like you got to be like more?
Did I ever say how this came about?
No,
I'd love to know.
Yeah,
well, I'm derailing the segment.
All right.
Do you want me to tell the story?
Go ahead, quick. And
tell the story. We'll get back to it. I'll ask you a question after.
So there was 3 things that happened that caused me to do this. 1, my wife wanted to see what I would look like. That's one. 2,
she didn't want you to shave the whole thing?
I told her I was not doing that.
Okay.
But so 2, when Ohio State lost to Indiana, I had said that I would cut my beard if they lost.
Oh, that's true.
And 3, I was lining it up the other day and I took it a little too far.
That's the real reason.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that's it.
Start from scratch.
All you bearded guys understand
Well,
what that
but you
is.
didn't shave. You were supposed to shave when they lost, and you didn't do it.
I told everybody that I would shave, but I'm not shaving the whole thing. I said I would shave the sides.
You're reneging on the bet.
No, I literally explained that I would not shave the entire
Oh, you said
thing.
that before you bet, while you made the bet.
Yeah.
See,
all right.
The depressing part is all his facial hair going to grow in way before mine, and I'm disappointed by that. And I ain't touched
You never
nothing.
know. It might not come back.
No.
How long does it take to get that mustache going?
Years.
Years. Yeah.
Years.
Like if someone like cut it off in the middle of the night, you'd be like, dang.
I mean, do that to me. As bad as that is, how about Ken Carman? That guy can't grow facial hair to save his life.
Yeah, that's a wrap, man.
Is that a fact?
Yeah,
he
It's
can't.
just baby face, man.
It don't work that way, man. I told you.
All right, Ty, to bring this back to the coaching search, we saw from the odds that they really have no idea. There is no.
Come on, Tyvis. Who you want? Who you like?
Who
Yesterday, so I tuned into the show yesterday, and I seen that it's just from y'all and just checking Twitter and all this, it's a consensus that everybody in Cleveland wants Brian Flores. With that being said, there's a 0% chance that we are getting Brian Flores.
I don't think it's zero, but
0%.
I think it's low.
Brian Flores is going to the Raiders. He will be the head coach. They're going to take Fernando Mendoza, and that will be
Why are you so confident?
Because Tom Brady's in charge of it, and Tom Brady loves Brian Flores, so that's why that's going to happen.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
Brian Flores, get it out your head. It's not happening.
All right.
With that being said,
logical.
the two names on that list that actually it makes me think a little bit. One, Robert Saleh, bias. Obviously, that was my defensive coordinator when I was in San Fran. He's a great guy, great leader of men. He runs a 4-3.
Is he going to get up in there? You know what?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, I like that.
He's
then.
a great leader of men.
I'm down with him.
Follow him.
I'm down with him.
Even with the Jets, I kind of think like once he got fired with the Jets, you seen the players all talk about how they really respected him. Obviously, the Aaron Rodgers thing was whatever that was. But outside of that, I think he's a really respectable coach. And then the other guy would be Cliff Kingsbury.
You like him?
I do. You know why? Because he's an offensive mind. This would be his second time being a head coach, so he's got some previous experience. I love the fact that he's up under Dan Campbell right now. Dan Campbell is also like one of those guys that's a leader of men that guys really respect. So I love that. Obviously, he'll be able to take something from there and come here, but he would need to keep like a Jim Schwartz around if they hire Cliff.
Dustin, how about you?
All these names are great. To have like one that I feel like we have to buy into, or is like if they don't get this guy, I mean they're screwed. Right. Because whoever they hire is probably going to fail. Let's be honest with you. So the reality is we're gonna talk about these names, and someone's going to be right about who they hire, and they're only right for that 1 second. And the second they get hired, they're going to fail. Unfortunately, because the owner is delusional.
He is.
Did you guys hear him yesterday?
Yes.
You think that guy is going to hire the right guy?
Well, the most incredible thing, are we talking about what Jimmy's comments?
Yeah, we got some of Jimmy's comments coming up next.
All right.
I'm just telling you right now that they could hire the next Bill Belichick, whatever it may be. It's just it's going to be really hard for it to work here because of how dysfunctional from the top it is.
Did I say Cliff was under Dan Campbell? I mean Dan Quinn. My fault.
Yeah.
Y'all know what I meant. My fault.
I get what you're saying. The coach is going to have a lot to overcome. There's no doubt about it.
But I also understand we've got 2 hours to talk about it.
Well,
we're going to talk about it.
I'm not going to say the coach has no chance to succeed. He's up against long odds to succeed. There's no doubt about it.
You're talking about year one or period?
Certainly in year one, he's up against long odds. Yeah, and even long term.
There's a multitude of layers to this, guys. Number one, they didn't fire the GM. So next year, when they draft whoever at quarterback and it doesn't work out, or it's looking like it's going to take some time, and they win 3 games again, well, Andrew Berry's going to be the scapegoat. Whether it's next year or the following year, he'll be gone, and they'll have a head coach in his 3rd year with a new GM. How's that going to work?
Second. If he gets fired.
Well, if he gets fired after this year, yeah, it's not good. That's not a,
With that being said,
yeah,
I love John Gruden.
Yeah, I hate.
You just wrote a whole cocktail bomb and just like.
I do not love John Gruden. I feel like Kingsbury, like that guy, just keeps getting mentioned all the time. What has he done?
Kingsbury?
He's supposed to be a good offensive mind.
He is a good offensive mind.
But that's not what you two should know better than anybody else. That's not what makes a good head coach.
That's who gets hired in this league.
But that's stupid.
I think
we need a leader of men.
You don't think he's learned a little bit from?
I don't know, but he got handed an NFL job without doing anything in college.
Yeah, and he failed miserably.
Right.
But he also made a rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniel look like the 5th best quarterback in the league last year.
Man.
Guess what we got? Young quarterbacks.
He impresses somebody in these interviews.
Listen, whoever they hire.
Because everybody wants the offensive guy. That's probably one of the best ones you're going to get as far as a guy that's got head coaching experience.
Here you go. Here's a name for you. How about the Browns go out and hire Curt Cignetti? How about that? Pay him $20 million a year and say, do whatever you want.
You're going to take a guy straight from college? That's never really worked. You think he would work with him?
What's ever really worked in Cleveland?
Nothing.
Okay.
But no, just in general in the NFL, a coach going straight from college to the
Hey,
pros
you know what?
rarely
Do
works.
something Nick Saban couldn't do.
Do you think he would be a good NFL coach?
I do.
Who said?
I think Signade will be good at everything.
You think he would ever leave
Oh,
there?
no, you talking about
Guy's
Cincinnati.
just a winner, man.
You think he would leave?
I mean, listen, if he wins a natty,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden someone's paying him $20 million a year,
Yeah.
Go from winning the FCS championship to the NCAA college.
Nah.
football
you will that have won
championship
it
to the
FCS,
NFL.
D1, and then what if you win the
You don't want Signetti?
No. Listen, if I'm him,
I'm just throwing it out there.
I
because,
like the nice cushiness. Stay right there and get because I
mean,
He's
He's a
now
god
a
in
god in
Indiana.
Indiana. He can
He's
do
like-
no wrong in Indiana.
I don't think
He doesn't even have to win another natty at Indiana. He's
No.
already made them. He's the best coach Indiana's ever had.
Right, by far.
They could build the statue next year.
Yeah.
Gee, who do you like?
Man, you know what's so crazy is there's no name besides Brian Flores to me that sticks out that says, go get him right now.
Same.
It's just like, look, like the reality is going to be whoever they pick, they better be sold on them. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's they pick and they're going to have to roll with it and they're going to have to pay dividends. I like Cliff Kingsbury's offensive mind, but I don't know if how I feel about him being like he hasn't shown. There's nobody on this list where you can look at their immediate track record and say, I got this guy over this guy.
Well, it's,
they
wouldn't be on the list if that
right.
was the case.
So we're at the point where you do got a bad team. You don't have a lot of the same things that good teams have. You do have some nice pieces and parts that you can look at, but these coordinators are the same way. They're available for a reason. So you have to match what you got the best, and I do believe that the most important things is I do need a leader. I need somebody that's going to change the way things were ran prior.
And
I need that.
And from the outside, unless, obviously in your case you played for Robert Saleh, but for the most part, we don't know. We've seen these guys and what they've done as coordinators.
Right.
But we're judging them based on that. We don't know how good a leader they are.
Well, we seen the two I said have had head coaching jobs. They just didn't work out. Yeah, they had head coaching jobs. It just didn't work.
I'll tell you this. If you
I take all your takes today way more seriously, though.
Yeah.
I do too.
With that,
Until he just decided to talk there with the
With a
candy in
giant
his
cough
mouth.
drop in his mouth. Yeah.
the mustache adds credibility to your takes.
it does, man. It does.
What's wrong with y'all?
So I got a question for you guys.
Yeah,
real
yeah.
quick. I was talking to somebody yesterday just about the hiring process. This was someone not in the NFL, it's an NBA guy.
Yeah.
And he said this is Andrew Berry, most likely his one chance to hire his own head coach.
Right.
Right? You don't get many, as a GM, you don't get many
Yeah.
out. This could be his one and only chance to hire a head coach. That's just how the business works.
Yeah.
We know Berry comes from an analytical background.
Yeah.
We understand they're coming off a guy like Kevin Stefanski who had an offensive-minded approach. Whether or not the results were there, he was an offensive coach.
Yeah.
Do you think seeing how he meshed with an analytical offensive mind in his first pairing with the head coach, whether it's his
you
choice
make
or
my
not,
brain hurt just this conversation.
will impact what he's looking for in this hire?
Of course it will.
So you think he'll lean defensive-minded
Oh,
head coach?
No. I don't think.
I think they'd like to keep Jim Schwartz, so I think they're going to try to hire an offensive coach and then force Schwartz on the guy. Now the guy might be okay with that.
Yeah, I think they've talked to Myles Garrett and they're like, hey, what do you like Jim Schwartz? He's like, yeah, I like Jim Schwartz.
Yeah.
So they're gonna go into this interview and Dustin probably, he'll probably tell you like this. Jimmy, whoever they bring in, if they feel like they're gonna keep Schwartz, that's gonna be the number one answer on the test. How do you feel about Jim Schwartz? And obviously, if you're the coach coming in and you're interviewing, you got to decide what we're talking about.
Although
They should just hire Jim
I'm
Schwartz.
about to say if that's
I
the
was going
case,
to say,
just give
before
him
anyone
the
answers,
job.
would
Yeah.
Jim
Just
Schwartz
hire him.
stay if he interviews and gets passed up?
Right, that's true. He may leave if they hire somebody else.
Yeah, you're right.
If Jim Schwartz
Barry
is
said
that-
he's getting an interview, so
If Jim Schwartz is that important to the Browns, then he should just get
Then
the
they
job.
should make him the
Well,
head coach.
they also, I mean, you got to remember, these guys know Jim Schwartz. Like, he's in the building every day.
Right.
Like, they've got a pretty good relationship. I'm sure their interview is not going to be like a formal interview.
Yeah.
Right.
Where it's going to be like, hey, also, Jim, do you really want to be the head coach? Like, Or do you want to be a DC? I mean, Jim might just want to be a DC. He might be like, you know what, guys?
I thought he's come out and said he wanted
something
to
that
be.
was
Might,
cold.
maybe.
He said it ain't maybe it's me. So when I be having real jobs, right? When you taking a job to go from like a regular subordinate to management, right? I had a real job. So you go in there, the interview don't be the interview. You be in there talking about, because you already in the organization. You already know the business model, you know everything.
Right.
And so they're asking you regular questions, and it's just like
You're chopping it up.
Chopping it up. If Jim Schwartz go in there,
There's no PowerPoint.
He
He's
knows
talking.
all other pieces. He knows the whole quarterback room.
He knows where the bodies are buried right now. Like it's like, oh, Jim, do you want the job? Like,
'Cause you know what
we
what
love
it
you. Your defense was great. Miles loves you. He had a career year. All these dudes are balling under you. We want you here, but maybe Jim, who's 60 years old, may not want to be a head coach again. I mean, he had some health conditions when he was in after Detroit. Then he took a year off, went to Philadelphia.
More responsibility.
Yeah, so maybe he doesn't want that.
He said last week he wants to coach again.
He did say he wanted to?
He did say he wants to be a head coach.
Okay.
Again.
I would argue that in the 6 years of Kevin Stefanski being the head coach, the best hire and the most impactful thing that ever happened to the Browns over those 6 years was the hiring of Jim Schwartz.
That's true. The reality is Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam need to use the Costanza method.
Yes.
Which is every
Break that down to
every
it's
the opposite.
instinct they have is wrong, so the opposite's got to be right. So when Jimmy's thinking about making a decision, whoever is last on Jimmy's list, that's who he should hire, because he has bad instincts.
Yes.
So hire his last choice.
Like kind of like when you was taking a test in school and you was like, man, I done picked C a whole lot.
That's a fact.
Right.
This can't be C. I'm gonna go with A on this one.
Yep.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I never really thought of it like that, because if they gonna force Jim Schwartz on somebody and they like him that much and the team like him that much, well, hell, give him an opportunity to be the coach.
If Jim Schwartz wants to be a head coach in the NFL still, and if the Browns don't hire him, I would think he leaves.
Agreed.
Why would you stay here if the Browns don't keep you as that? Because he would have the opportunity of any DC job in the league.
There's only one scenario where I can see the Browns hiring someone else as a head coach and Schwartz staying on, and that's if they hire Tommy Reese as the head coach, because those two have worked together and, in a way,
If
I
I'm
don't
Jim
wanna say
Schwartz, I
co-head
am not
Schwartz.
staying if Tommy
I
Reese is
agree
the
with
coach.
that statement.
that's
No
just the,
chance.
That's just the only one I could see.
No,
I'm not
you're out of
saying
your
it
mind.
would. I think I could see it.
That would be the biggest insult
That's
to him.
the Freddie Kitchens.
Well,
You're
method.
saying a guy who's been in the NFL for 2 seconds, it should be a head coach over a guy who's been in the NFL
They are-
for
was
25
You
years,
just said
30
this
years?
organization should make a list and pick the last guy on the list because they're always wrong. So this
That makes more sense than what you said.
But they've already done this, though. They did this with Greg Williams and Freddie
right?
Kitchens.
and then Greg Williams left.
And then Greg Williams left, and then Kitchens got fired after a year.
Right.
Was Tommy Reese's offense that good? That
No,
you
it was
would
terrible.
Whose offense was this? I don't know. What was that? I don't know who.
Making Tommy Reese the head coach is insanity.
I agree.
Whose offense
That's
was
crazy. So they'll probably do it.
Okay, so
They just won a divisional game without scoring an offensive touchdown. Let's hire the guy who runs the offense.
They just won 2 divisional
Yeah.
games
Right,
by
yeah.
scoring 1 total offensive touchdown.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah, listen.
Wasn't it the first drive they had against Pittsburgh?
Yeah,
Yes.
and then it scored.
the offense?
if Jim Schwartz wants the job and they ask him, Jim, what's the first thing you're going to do if we make you the head coach? His answer should be fire Bubba Ventrone.
I think anybody's answer is going to be that.
I think
Bring back Chris Tabor, my
if
boy.
you can, that may be the best of both
Where's he
worlds
at?
to
Where's
me.
he at now? Is he in Buffalo?
Yeah, that's
I don't know where he is.
If you think about it, Miles and all the guys. So if you're Andrew Berry, just thinking about it, just kind of spitballing, throwing against stuff against the wall, and you say, okay, I drafted all these guys, Mason Graham and Schlesinger, and I got Denzel Ward, and I got Grant Delpit, and I got Malik Collins.
The defense
and
is intact.
The defense is intact. Those guys know what defense they're gonna play. They know what. Hey, Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward can line up without even getting in the huddle. Grant Delpit knows exactly what they're
Is
going to
there
run.
anybody that's Ronnie Hickman is the only person that's contract is kind of up, but he's a restricted.
Martin Emerson, right?
MJ, yeah.
Oh, we're going to bring him back for the minimum.
He ain't got no choice but to
He
take
wasn't going to bring him back for the low.
Yeah.
We're going to bring him back
He
for
ain't
the
got no
low.
choice.
Like, you know
Well,
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
he's got no choice. Somebody else might give him
Nah, he ain't.
Off of an Achilles tear?
And
Somebody's not going to give him a minimum contract.
no, his speed was already at 83.
Yeah,
on
what I'm
Madden.
saying, no.
And Achilles with the
Now it's
83
73?
speed. 73. That puts you down as an edge setter. You can't even
73,
speed
you
rush.
gotta go
at
play
73.
safety.
You setting the edge. You got that Willie McGinnis.
Who's the slowest guy on Madden ever?
Ever?
Tom Brady.
Vince Wilfork?
Nah. Well, there's some 40s. There's some guys in the 40s.
What's his name? Who was that offensive lineman?
Albert Haynesworth.
Siragusa?
Goose was probably slow. Goose ain't been on the game for a long time. He was on the last game he was, I believe, was Madden 97, if I'm not mistaken. Because I used to play with him and Sam
Goose?
Adams. Yeah, Goose.
Siaki Ika?
You know how
Tommy Togiai?
You know how crazy this world is. Back when I was a kid and Albert Haynesworth signed for $100 million,
That was
Yeah.
a lot
I
of
thought
money.
it was the richest thing I've ever seen. And nowadays, that's like chump change.
Now Jeremiah Smith wakes that. He makes that
I'll
right.
tell you what's crazier than that, the fact that everybody thought Mike Hall was going to be a good player in the NFL.
Whoa.
Hey.
Whoa.
You watch your mouth.
Guys in the NBA make $100 million contracts and average 3 points a game.
It is crazy. That is crazy.
The shoe
Career average 3.4 points per game.
Hey,
Career earnings $127 million.
It's wild work there.
By the
baby.
way, listen, man, I felt this is the prelude when OBJ said, "Hey, it's easy to go broke as a football player," and then it automatically went to my mind, and Dustin said, "Yeah, man, when you're a football player, everybody still think you got it."
Yeah.
You could be a walker. You could be a free agent walker.
You got to be a dumbass to make that kind of money and go broke.
There's only 3 guys in the NFL locker room that make any money.
Hey.
Okay.
Quarterback.
That's it. In the
left
NBA, everyone makes money.
Yeah.
You're kind of right.
Quarterback, left tackle.
Problem in the
Yeah.
NFL is that everybody, including myself, wanted to be one of those 3 guys that had the money, and we all acted like we
you had
did
the bag.
because we could all go buy an Escalade.
Right, but once you've
We all couldn't afford an Escalade.
once you've made Odell Beckham money, you got to be a dumbass to lose your money.
Hey, but he told him,
sorry, I don't care.
Hey, when they hit you with Uncle Sam hit you with that half Oski, that half boy.
No, but they're not paying half. Who's he kidding? Get a better accountant, buddy.
Well, you gotta get
Billionaires
that.
are paying nothing.
You gotta get an LLC. You gotta get you a company.
Yeah, well, he's smart enough to realize that. Let's go.
And
He ain't
What
paying
he
no
said? He
half.
said he got a $100 million contract, got split in half to 50, so,
he's
and
full of
50
crap.
over 5 years. What did he say? That's 12,
13.
Are we really going to feel sorry for someone?
And then he said you.
no one's feeling
you
sorry
could
for him.
football in
Yeah.
the bank and you'd never be able to work the rest of your life.
No one feels sorry for the guy, but
sometimes you gotta chill out.
But in that world, if you live in that world, and I've seen it,
Yeah.
it can go really fast.
Yeah.
Like you can blow $100 million so fast.
Well, that's stupid,
It
though.
is stupid.
Get a
check,
It is.
blow a check. I know
It
a
is,
guy.
It is stupid, but when you're 23 years old and you got that money and you got a lot of people around you, it can go really fast, and it is stupid. Yes.
And Tyvis educated me on this show how to go broke. We should do a show like that. How to go broke.
So I can tell you real fast how you can spend a lot of money.
These dudes don't be getting.
yeah.
They like teachers. They don't be getting no checks during the off season.
Yes,
No.
they do now.
They do now.
They do now. They spread.
They prorate it?
It used to be 18
Oh, that was the
weeks
worst.
or
So-
17 weeks. Now
so
I think it's
What
36.
you doing during the summer? Just looking around.
Yeah,
Just-
what you know what?
Watching your bank
You know
account go
what?
down?
What's
Yeah, but you guys didn't make life-changing money
No.
like Odell Beckham.
correct.
There's no excuse.
But
for
they
that.
just talked about.
I
I
should
just
have had
watched,
life-changing money.
But you can't tell that to your family, your
Yeah,
cousin,
I
your
hear
daughter,
you.
your son. That's life saving.
Everybody definitely think you got it for sure.
You
I mean,
got
when there's a problem, you are the first call.
Yeah,
first
right,
call.
right.
First call.
I need you. Listen,
Probably get calls from people you haven't heard from
I
in
promise
years.
you, like I'm gonna pay you back. But just something just went wrong. I need this, that, and the third.
Have
It's
you
just
gotten a
like-
call recently with someone like maybe you didn't even realize you weren't in the league anymore?
I get that call still.
He get family members all the
Yeah, I
time.
get that call still.
What's the most you ever lent?
What
What's
you
the most
talking
money you ever
about?
lent somebody?
The most money I ever
Most
lent
money
somebody
you ever lent somebody.
was, I think it was $1,000.
Did you get it back in a timely fashion?
I didn't get it back at all.
How did we get to this?
I kind of knew I wasn't going to at the time, but you take care
We
of
went
people
from
sometimes.
coaching search odds to bull lending a grand,
That's-
never getting paid
Yeah,
back.
it
That's
was-
why you see us as the
I
best.
kind of knew it when I lent
But
it.
there it is.